Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca. I'm up here from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's quite nice and here for me. And my program is called Fill 'em Up. And I first got interested in this kind of sustainability and environmental when I would go to the beach and I would walk around with my little tiny kid and I'd be barefoot and I'd step on trash. And I would get cigarette butts and I would get pieces of plastic, pieces of paper, and I'd come home or I'd get ready to get a car and have to brush cigarette butts off my leg and that kind of thing. And as a little girl, I didn't really understand. And then I started becoming a little older, I started understanding, and I realized that people were doing this. And people were the reason that all this trash is on our beach. People are the reason that there's trash floating in our oceans, but we can fix that. And this is one of the ways that I believe we can fix it. The first thing that we need to know is, why are we going to change? Well, what I am going to do is I'm going to go to my high school and I'm going to suggest a change. My change is we're going to start selling reusable water bottles in our campus store, and students are going to go in and buy the water bottles and they're going to use them in our cafeteria. And what that's going to do is that's not only going to cut down on the trash that we produce, but it's going to cut down on the things that we don't recycle. My school uses so many styrofoam cups and plastic bottles that our trash cans are full of only that. We eat most of the food that we get, but we have all these cups and we have all these bottles in. And most of the time, they don't even end up in the trash, they just end up on the floor. And that's not good for the environment, most of that ends up in our ocean. So we need to have an environmentally friendly campus. Not only will it help our campus look better, not only will it help our students have a better learning environment, but we're in the middle of a residential community. It's going to make us as a campus and us as a school look much, much better. It's going to reduce the waste and the overuse of styrofoam cups. Styrofoam cups take a very long time to decompose. So if we don't throw them away, or if we just throw them in the trash, we don't recycle them, or we don't recycle any of our bottles, then they're going to sit for a very long time. And the chemicals that they release are not good for the environment, they're not good for us, and they're not good for any animals that have a decomposed. The next thing is that my school is less than a mile from the beach. After school on Fridays, a lot of us get up and we walk to the beach. But when we walk to the beach, a lot of times before we go, we stop in the cafeteria and we pick up a 30-ounce styrofoam cup full of soda, which soda's not that healthy, and the styrofoam cup isn't healthy either. And most of the time when we go to the beach, we'll put it in the sand next to us and we'll sit. And when it's done, we'll pack up and leave, and we'll just leave the styrofoam cup in the sand. That's going to go almost immediately right into the ocean. The next thing is we have to take care of our community. As I mentioned, I'm in the middle of a residential area. Our community is very, very important to us. Everyone around us is involved in our school community. We have events for the community around us. We are very community oriented. We don't really have much of a choice. So if we take care of our campus, we're taking care of the community around us. So we'll have the community will view us better. So if we decide to change our field, or if we want to do a very large construction project, or if we create a park garage, it will take a lot less for us to get these things done if we already have a good view in the community's eyes. The next thing is we have to look at the big picture. It's not just our little school or our little community that we're affecting. We're affecting everyone. The styrofoam cup that I forgot to throw away last week and I left on the beach, in a few weeks it might be up the coast, it might be across the ocean. There are tons of places it could be. What we do not only affects us, but it affects everyone else around us, and that continues to go up. The next thing is, why should we care? We can stay in our little community, we can stay in our little bubble, and we'll be fine. We can keep ourselves clean, we don't have to care about anyone else. But this is what's going to happen. How would you feel if your cup that blew away, or the trash you forgot to throw away, started washing up on your beaches? And you try to go out with your little son or your little daughter, and you have to wash cigarette butts off their legs. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to see their children coming home from the park or coming home from the beach covered in trash. This could happen if we don't stop our things from going away or being left out, or even putting it on top of trash dumps. I work right next to one of the largest trash dumps in my county. And we get trash that blows over and it lands on our grass. And we have to go out and we have to pick it up. We can't let it sit there. It would not only be toxic to the animals we take care of, but it's toxic to the children who come to look at our animals and come to see our facilities. And I don't know about you, but that's pretty gross. How are we going to improve? Well, first thing we can do as a school campus is we can start using reusable water bottles. It's one small thing. We don't have to do a complete change. We don't have to tear down all of our buildings and use green materials.
Just ice it out.
But this is one thing that we can do. Not only are we helping the environment by using reusable water bottles and not using styrofoam cups and not using plastic bottles, but we're advertising for our school. I can go out with my Chiefs water bottle and I can go out and I'll be drinking soda and out in a movie theater, or not a movie theater, but out in my local park or anything. And people will say, oh look, she has a Chiefs water bottle. We know where she goes, we know the people she hangs out with, and we know the area she goes to. And people not only know that about me, but it looks really good for parents who see that. If I'm going to send my child to a school, I don't want to send them to a school where I don't see people wearing the school jackets or using school materials. So if I go to Target every week with my little daughter and I always see people wearing Chiefs jackets or carrying Chiefs water bottles, I'm going to know that that school not only has school spirit, but it acts as a community. How are we going to accomplish this? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to follow my power map. A power map is basically the people and the organizations you need to get in contact with to make your goal happen. So I would follow my power map and I would start talking to teachers and I would start talking to students. And I would get people on my side. Then I would move up the ladder a little bit to talk to more people that are in charge. So start talking to cafeteria staff and cafeteria manager. Cafeteria manager is Katie, is very nice. I've known her for a long time. I like the cafeteria. And her daughter is also the next chair to mine in my band class. So through my connection with Miss Katie, I can not only talk to everyone in the cafeteria to see if they're on board, but I would also have an easier way of talking to her and saying, I have this program, would you be interested in this program? And I'm already a step above because I've known her for 4 years. I take bus rides with her, I talk to her daughter almost every single day of school. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work with those cafeteria staff to figure out how they're willing to incorporate these water bottles. If I ask them to lower the price of fountain soda so that students who bring in water bottles can get cheaper soda and cheaper water, it looks very good for the students, but the cafeteria might lose a little bit of money. But that's one thing they have to think about. But if we're using reusable water bottles, we're not using styrofoam cups, and we're not using bottles. So we would have to buy less of all of those materials, which would in the end save them money. The next thing is I want people to buy my water bottles. I don't want them to sit on shelves. I don't want people to go, oh yeah, there's water bottles for sale. We'll go get some later. I want people to look and say, oh yeah, let's go get some water bottles. We're going to get cheaper soda. Let's be part of our school community. So I'm going to talk to the art club, which is very active and they like doing art, obviously. And I would have a small competition within the art club to see who can create the best poster. So I would create about 10 of these posters from whoever wins and put them all over our school. Our school has about 14 staircases. I don't want to put up 14 posters, especially in the back stairwell that people use 3 times a day and nobody else goes there. And I also don't want to waste all that paper if nobody's going to look at it. So put them in the main stairwells, put them in the cafeteria, put them in our office. People will see them, and we're not wasting paper. The next thing is I would talk to the cafeteria staff to work on getting lower soda prices. Maybe in the very beginning, they can't lower the prices. The prices they're set at is they're making money and they can't lower any prices. Maybe if the water bottles become more popular, or I get the students to stop buying soda, or I get the students to talk to the cafeteria staff, they're very friendly, and maybe they say, well, we would get more soda, we would buy more of it if you lower the prices a little bit and we could use our water bottles. And then, what is that? I changed that picture. It's me and my baby. My long-term goals. my long-term goals are to eventually phase out styrofoam cups entirely from my school campus. It takes them a very, very, very long time to decompose. It takes a banana peel about 3 to 4 weeks to decompose. It'll take a wool sock about a year. It'll take a plastic water bottle, like the Coke bottle I'm actually drinking out of right now. It'll take right about 300 years. And it could take over 1 million years for a styrofoam cup to completely disappear from the face of the earth. That's a long time. None of us will be around. Nothing we do right now is going to be around. But that cup I just drank from, it will still be here. How can we tell the project is work? Well, not only would there be less trash that we're creating, but the cafeteria staff will have to buy less of the styrofoam cups, will have to buy less of the water bottles, and the trash that we're actually taking out, the levels will be lower. So we'll actually be using less trash bags as well. And if the project doesn't work, then there's a lot of things we can do. We don't have to say, well, they're only for students or they're only for faculty. We could actually take a table and set it up at our football games. They're very popular in the neighborhood, especially now that we have lights at night. And set up a table and take $2 off the water bottles, or take a little bit of money off the water bottles. And then not only will students be buying the water bottles, but the whole program will be getting viewed by the entire community. Parents will see it, grandparents, neighbors, students from other schools will start coming and seeing it. And the project as a whole is going to get a lot more notice. It's going to be talked about, and we'll be selling more water bottles than just the 1,500 students that my school has. And then, are there any questions?
Is it a challenge with soda that you use to clean the bottle up?
It would be a problem to clean the bottles, but we do have a lot of bathrooms on campus, and if you put just a little bit of water in the bottom and shake the bottle around, you could then either just drink the water, it's fine, or you could take the little bit of water out and the bottle's completely clean.
That's good. It leads to my other question, which is where do students get water in your school? If I may explain. Has there been articles written about how many students at their schools refuse to use the water fountains? They consider that water dirty. So is your school different?
We are a little bit different. We do run off county water, so occasionally we do have to shut down our water fountains. But for the most part, students do drink out of our water fountains all the time. I do at least twice a day. Most of our sports teams especially, they're actually told by their coaches that they need to drink from the water fountains. And so they could either fill up their water bottles at the water fountain, or at lunch a lot of the kids will get the huge styrofoam cups and they'll fill them with water. So if they don't fill the styrofoam cups and they'll fill the water bottles, it's actually safer, because if I'm sitting at a desk and I knock my water bottle over, there's a cap on it, it's fine. If I knock a styrofoam cup over, my soda or my water's going all over the carpet.
So it sounds like you're going to have to make an initial investment to have these water bottles produced, right?
Mm-hmm.
And have you thought about funding for that?
I have thought about funding, and the main people I would be targeting are the alumni from the school. All of our alumni are very involved. Also, in our cafeteria, we actually set up boxes occasionally to get donations. So if I do explain to my school the program I'm thinking about installing, then I would be able to take essentially a Tupperware container, put like an advertisement on the side of it, and then people would put in their change from their lunch in there. And most people don't even look at the box, they just don't want to take their change home. So that's one way to get a lot of money very quickly from the students to support the students. Yeah.
So last year, one of our SILS students undertook a similar project at her school. She partnered with Brita
Yeah.
to have hydration stations installed in the school after selling a certain number.
500 water bottles.
Exactly. Have you looked into this program?
I have looked into the program, and the only problem I ran into it is the actual hydration stations themselves. We have a lot of water fountains in our school, so there's plenty of space, but the problem is actually installing them. We don't have a lot of space within our walls. Our outside walls for most of our buildings are actually fairly thin and not very strongly built because there's a lot of hallways. So there's only a few places we'd actually be able to put those fountains in. So at least in the beginning, it would be a little bit easier to put just the water bottles themselves, and then maybe in time put in the water filters.
So there are a lot of different kinds of plastics, and we've heard a lot about plasticizers and estrogen mimicking properties and this kind of thing. Have you looked into what kinds of bottles you would like to purchase?
Yes. The bottles actually in the picture that I used, I was looking at and reading about it, and they're actually completely eco-friendly. They're made in the United States, and as all water bottles, they're BPA free. So they're not only do they not leach chemicals into our water as styrofoam cups do, they're made in the United States and not made anywhere overseas. They're at-home jobs.
Do you know what the cost of the bottles is?
Each bottle is about $1.29 each. So for initial investment of 500 water bottles, it would be just over $2,000. And then if we sold the water bottles for about $10 each, it would be a profit of around $10,000.
Well, that's a new element to the plan.
I have a question. So if everything goes according to plan and you get those 500 initial water bottles and you buy them, sell all of them, and make that profit of around $10,000, what do you plan on doing with that next?
The money, we would either go to more environmental projects at our school, or taking the water fountains that we already have and upgrading them and allowing them for, since we now have these water bottles, making it a lot easier to fill the water bottles at the water fountain stations.
All right, thank you very much.